Good evening, good night, good morning, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to the Black Consciousness Festival and the final conversation for the festival this year, 2020. The festival so far has been providing a global online platform for the commemoration, celebration, and sharing of vital histories and stories that boost the awareness and impact of the pride, power, and practice of people of African descent. Your conversation lead tonight is Mr. Kheston Walkins, and he's here with three lovely ladies tonight, Kelly Ifill, Carla Johnson, and Shannon Allen, all entrepreneurs in their own right. So welcome and enjoy tonight's conversation. We've been asking every conversation to start off with a ritual of some sort, and this is what our guests tonight have chosen. Hope you enjoy.
I say na 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 na, I say na 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 na, say na 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 na, I say na 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 na, I say na na na, I say na 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 na, I say na na na, I say na 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 na. I'll never run it easy for the brands and the bling and the expensive thing. Oh, I never had the money, never had nice living. And mama say, oh, you could have it all, just work hard for yours. I say, mama, you know I'll work hard for sure. No Jaja bless me with the opportunity to fly country to country. Now I could drink champagne when I thirst. Now I could see only thing I never see. They say this hour you'd man so long, but I thank the father and the family. Now no bad mind boy they can stop me. On every show I smiling cause trust me, life is so lovely. Whoa, and I'm far from finished. Whoa. I can't believe it, no. See, I'm far from finished, whoa. Love the life that I live in, yeah. I say na 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 na, I say na 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 na, say na 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 na, I say na 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 na, I say na na na, I say na na na, I say na na na.
Over to you, Kheston.
Okay, that was a beautiful song. I love that song. I think it's a great song. And we are far from finished. Today is just the opening of the conversation. We reached the end. This is the last of the panels for the festival, for the Black Consciousness Festival. And I am excited for this talk that we're going to have today. The title of today's conversation is Business and the Black Community. That's business and the Black community. And with me, I have a wonderful panel, an all-female panel of entrepreneurs and business women. I'm going to go through their bios, and then we could start kicking off the discussion. Let's go with the first one. That's Kelly Ifill. Kelly is the founder of Guava, an investment platform that aims to address the racial gap in America by increasing access to capital for Black-owned and Black-owned small businesses. This is beautiful. Prior to Guava, she co-founded Seneca Network, a nonprofit that created equal access to networks and capital for early-stage Black and Latinx founders, tech founders. She's also the partnership manager of Company Ventures, where she works to develop a comprehensive innovation campus in New York City. Before joining Company Ventures, Kelly was a digital strategy consultant and started her career in education, co-founding a Public High School in Brooklyn. She served as a school leader in Brooklyn, Rio de Janeiro, and Dubai. Kelly has earned an MBA from Columbia Business School, an MA in secondary math education from St. John's University, and a BA in mathematics from CUNY, Baruch College. I hope I spelled that right. I pronounced that right. Kelly is a native New Yorker, lives in Brooklyn, and loves cycling, podcasts, and curry. And in brackets, it says obviously. And I agree with you. It doesn't matter if it's chicken curry or curry chicken. Curry is life. Right, Kelly? Yeah.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So next we have Carla Williams Johnson. And Carla is a media marketing specialist in Trinidad Tobago. She's founded Carli Communications, which offers advertising and marketing advice to entrepreneurs, business owners who are interested in building a business in the real world. She considers herself as an advocate for businessmen and women who are desirous of promoting themselves by offering sound, unbiased advertising, focusing mainly on methods to identify ideal clients online and offline approaches, with online and offline approaches, all to boost visibility and the creation of a practical marketing campaign designed to increase revenue. At a higher Gil, this sounds amazing. She's been asked to share her knowledge with numerous media houses, including Forbes, Huffington Post, BuzzFeed, Trinidad Tobago newspaper, Barbados Today, CCN TV6, just to name a few. Wow. She has been named one of the marketers to follow listen to this. She's been named one of the marketers to follow for 2020, as well as recently awarded Best Promotions Company, West Indies, at this year's Media Innovators Award, as compiled by the Corporate Vision magazine out of the UK. That is impressive. That is really.
Thank you very much.
Yes, just in advance, you guys should be as excited as I am going to be, as I am about this conversation we're going to have today. And on our list, last but not least, Shannon Allen, or Shannon Walker Williams, is a mom of 5, singer. I like how she opens with family. That's nice too. A mom of 5, singer, songwriter, actor, entrepreneur, philanthropist, content creator, and devoted wife to 2-time NBA champion, 10-time NBA All-Star, and Hall of Famer Ray Allen. Nice, man. She was a member of Botan Records Shades and has appeared in TV film Girl Light, Blue Clues, Century City, Sex and the City, quite the range, Sesame English, and can be found on Instagram. I'll drop the Instagram in the thing later as well, but I'll say it now, at Grown and Swalker Will. In addition to her work, creating and building, and this is important, she's created and built an organic fast food restaurant brand called Grown. Real food cooked slow for fast people. I like that. Real food cooked slow for fast people. Shannon has appeared on many shows, panels, and podcasts as a speaker, expert, and thought leader on entrepreneurship, organic food, health, wellness, parenting, and diabetes awareness. The Allens are passionate advocates for research for a cure for type 1 diabetes in honor of their 13-year-old son, Walker. Shannon, Ray, and their family devote their time and efforts to raise the level of awareness about type 1 diabetes and its symptoms, and are committed with purpose, passion, and dedication to prevailing in the fight against a potentially life-threatening disease. What a panel.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so honored to join these ladies.
Oh, this is excitement. So here's what I would love. We learned a little bit about what they do. And that is such an impressive resume. I probably can't afford to hire them. I probably wouldn't want to be hired by me anyway. But here's the thing. What we want to know is your why. Your why. All right. So since the last of what we heard was Shannon, we start there since that's the freshest, and we will work our way back. So Shannon, let's hear about your why.
Yeah. So I never dreamed of being an entrepreneur, a foodtrepreneur, owning a restaurant. Organic food was something that I bought. What wasn't something that I necessarily lived. And then in 2008, during the NBA Finals, Celtics Lakers, our son Walker, who was just 17 months old at the time, just wasn't himself. Between like a Monday and a Friday, he had taught himself how to say juice mommy because he was so excessively thirsty, and he was incredibly lethargic. And then he started peeing through his diaper, which was very odd for me. All of my boys, I have 4 sons and a daughter, and I breastfed my boys until they were each 3 years old. And they weren't big eaters or drinkers, so peeing through his diapers seemed odd to me. And by the end of the week, I realized that something was really wrong with Walker. And I found myself in a hospital in Los Angeles, which was a foreign city for us. We were living in Boston at the time. And there was a lot of energy and excitement and enthusiasm around the NBA Finals, which is a big deal, I guess. You know, in hindsight, it wasn't a big deal. It was just a game. But at the moment, it felt like it was the moment. Yeah. And it felt like the whole world was watching, which obviously they weren't. But to us, it was kind of our moment. And I was fortunate enough to call the concierge of our hotel and ask if they had a doctor on staff. And I spoke with a doctor over the phone who heard the symptoms and basically said, take him into the hospital, but do yourself a favor, don't leave without a blood test. And I said, my gosh, you know, what am I looking for? The doctor said, I don't know, but anything really scary, you can rule out with a blood test. So at the hospital, I spent about 20 minutes trying to convince the attending physician that I needed a blood test and that this was a very sick child. And then I stopped asking and I demanded. And the doctor came back in 20 minutes later after giving Walker a blood test and was white as a ghost with tears and looked at me and said, your blood sugar is supposed to be between 70 and 120. Walker, who was only 17 months old at the time, Walker's blood sugar is 639. He has type 1 diabetes, and he's entered a phase of diabetes called ketoacidosis, which means his blood sugar is poisoning him to death. And if he doesn't get insulin soon, you're going to lose him. And that was the moment that changed everything for me. My why, my passion, my purpose. I threw myself into a life of activism and advocacy for research for a cure for type 1 diabetes, but also I became Walker's pancreas. Anyone that's watching, that's a parent, your biggest fear is that anything would ever happen to your child or that anything would happen to you and you wouldn't be there to support your child. And in that moment, I was faced with this reality that, you know, there was a chance that Walker wouldn't be coming home with me. But I looked at the doctor and said, I don't know what insulin is. I don't have any idea about type 1 diabetes, but I'm not leaving here without him. So give him the insulin and I'll figure out the rest. And I never claimed anything for him. I put it in prayer. And I was very fortunate that all of my family members really covered him. But it was a long haul. And Walker is and always will be my why. He is my raison d'etre. He's why I do everything. And I never ever thought that reinventing fast food or reinvigorating the fast food experience or owning and operating an organic sort of fast food restaurant would be a part of my destiny. I'm a singer and an actress. I'm a songwriter. That's who I really am. I'm a writer. But in my travels with diabetes, I've learned so much about food and how food metabolizes in your system. And the truth is, for most people that are living with type 2 diabetes, which is most of us, especially in the Black and brown communities, if we just lose 10% of our body weight, diabetes goes away. But no one tells you that because insulin is the #1 sold pharmaceutical on the planet. So when you're making $194 billion a year selling a drug, you need 194 million people paying for that drug. Mm-hmm. So Walker is my why, and grown has become my passion and my purpose. And now I'm the grown woman and I am the voice of organic fast food.
That's awesome. So let's have Carl. I don't want to take too much time in between. So Carla, do tell us about your why.
Wow. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And definitely, everyone calls me Carli because of my business, Carli Communications. And Carli was actually born because I was fed up and upset and annoyed with all these consultants and coaches and all these people. You know, marketing is something that everyone needs in their business, but not everyone knows how to do. And there are these people who would use your lack of knowledge against you in order to make a quick buck. They'll tell you to do this, they'll tell you to do that, invest here, put this ad there, but they know that it's not going to give you any returns. They know it's not going to do anything for you, and they do it because they know that you don't know. That pisses me off. that upsets me, that annoys me. Because if someone comes to me for help, the last thing I need to do is to use their lack of knowledge against them to make a quick buck. I hate that. So Carli Communications was really born to help men and women, businessmen and women, understand that, marketing is not a one size fits all. And it's what you need to do in order to build your business and achieve your goals and to reach your people and to live your dreams. No more trying to figure things out on your own. No more trying to look at somebody else and trying to use what they have done to kind of build your business. No more someone lying to you and telling you that you need to do this and filling you with false hope. I am really the voice for people who really need to build their business in the real world, as I mentioned before. And if that means that I have to recommend you to someone else, then so be it. So be it. Because my goal is for you to succeed and build the life that you want. Making money is easy, but when you are spending money and investing in things that makes no sense for you, it fills you with frustration, anger, annoyance, stress, and you're out. You don't need that kind of unnecessary stress in your life, and that's where I come in. I take that stress and worry away from you, so you know exactly what to do, so you can get focused on building your dream.
That's wonderful. So far we've had empowerment through your mouth and your health, then empowerment for your business. Kelly, I have a particular passion for yours. Please tell us about your why.
Yeah. So I work in venture capital, which is this industry that essentially invests in really early stage tech startups. And through my work, you realize that most of the rooms you walk into, no one looks like you. Most of the companies that people are investing in don't look like us. 1% of venture capital funding goes to Black founders, and a fraction of that goes to Black female founders. And we're talking about billions of dollars. And that really motivated me years ago to, like you mentioned, start Seneca Network, which was kind of closing the gap for really early stage founders, tech founders, to raise a friends and family round. I mean, I don't know how many of us can kind of turn to our rich uncle and get $100,000 to start their business, but that's kind of what's expected of you from VCs. And so starting that because I knew kind of anecdotally that the racial wealth gap existed. And then there were reports that kind of came out in 2015 that said, oh, well, this thing that you know anecdotally that there's just like more wealth in white communities is actually 10 times more. So that the wealth of an average white family in America is 10 times more than that of a Black family. And that doesn't, like, it doesn't make a difference if you are well educated as a Black family, that a white family that hasn't graduated college on average makes more than a Black family that is college educated, right? Like, so all of the things that we are told, go to college, you get a good job, you move up, there's economic mobility, like none of that is actually true, right? Like that we are kind of, as a group of people, obviously there are outliers, that there's no wealth kind of accruing in our communities. And if kind of the trend continues by 2050, one report shows that the average net worth of a Black family will be zero. And so that was, I mean, that was what motivated me, and that's my why. And so I was working with tech startups, which is just, you know, a small fraction of small business owners, and realized it was a bit of a Band-Aid solution, and started building Guava that focuses on Main Street small businesses. So your barber, your hair salon, your laundromat, your wine shop, whatever, that has like a brick and mortar presence that's usually a service and not a high growth tech startup that I kind of am. So those are the businesses that I really want to ensure have the capital to grow so that they can expand, they can hire, they can, you know, bring new products to market and build their wealth. And we, as we know, at least here, and I'm sure that's true in Trinidad, that small business ownership is like one of the key ways of building wealth. You own a business, you have like 12 times more wealth than, you know, someone that's employed by someone else. And so I want to make sure that our businesses and our entrepreneurs have the same access to capital as those that don't look like us. Which right now is not the case. So the numbers I talked about for tech startups is obviously not as bad, but it's pretty dire for small businesses. They've been betrayed by our traditional financing systems, that they're the most denied group for small business loans. They're the most, they're the most taken advantage of when we talk about, predatory lending practices. It's Black people. And so I want to create and am creating a product to circumvent that, to give them access to capital that's not predatory, that's built for them and built with them in mind for them to win.
That's
Yes.
awesome. I love this team. Okay. So each one of you, there's a clear struggle, right? And there's a clear problem. And you guys are championing those problems. Now, this whole thing is about the challenge of Black people in the world, in the Caribbean, in the US. But I want to read a little excerpt here, and then we're going to reflect on it together. This is actually from the organization's website. And then I'll do a little bit of housekeeping so people can ask questions, and we'll sort that out in a little bit. So here's the excerpt. It says, this festival examines the legacy and continued need for the resistance of people of African descent to the systematic oppression that separated us from our ancestral lands and continues to oppress and depress the diaspora to this day. Additional focus will be placed on holistic damage that has been done to millions of people of African descent over time. This world crime, the rationale for efforts at restitution, what has been done thus far, what still needs to be done, the role of each of us in this process, and specific examples of how we can move to action and make change happen. And these ladies that we have here are truly change makers. Now, here's the first question. That's just to put some context for those who are joining, and also to frame the conversation that we have moving forward. All right. Here's the first question. What does Black consciousness mean to you? What does Black consciousness mean to you? And while you think about that, just a few seconds to think. If you have any, for those who are online and you're watching, if you have any questions, please submit them into the chat, and they will be forwarded here so we can discuss them. As it comes to your mind, put it in. Doesn't mean that we will address them straight away. We will take our time and come to them as we go through the course of the discussion. But I don't want you to wait till it's question time to start thinking to write. You just put it in, and we'll have that free flow going, and we'll see how we can mix it in as we go along. So the question, what does Black consciousness mean to you? Whoever wants to jump in, please do come in and say. And it'd be especially powerful if you connect it to like what you do. Yeah.
I'll start. I think for me, I think about what does Black consciousness mean to me? It's this constant thought of what it means to be Black in America, right? What it is to be a Black woman. I think a lot about, I said this to my husband during this whole election process, and I'm sure we all can relate to how crazy this political spectrum has been here in the States, and maybe folks in the Caribbean and around the world have been watching as well. But I said to my husband that there has never been a time in the history of the US, maybe even in the history of the world, that fear has not been a constant companion of the Black woman. We've always been fearful for our husband's safety, our children's safety, our place in the world, knowing that we're getting scraps, knowing that we're being paid least, knowing that we are being looked over. We aren't getting loans, we aren't getting VC funding or PE funding. Even when we are successful, there's imposter syndrome, and people try to act like someone else behind a magical curtain really did it, because you couldn't possibly have created this. And so I think part of that for me is knowing that that exists, but then also figuring out a way to turn away from the fear and focus on the pride in the roots that have grounded and sustained me. I think about my mother. I think about my grandmother, my grandfather. My grandfather was the commissioner of minority small business for the state of Connecticut, of Cape Verdean descent. He too, like Kelly, believed that the only way towards financial freedom for Black people was owning their own business. So this was a man who graduated from high school at 12, no formal education, was a farmer, and was continually discriminated against, but completely revamped the state of Connecticut's economic future. And that's who we are. You know, the African proverb, you know, they tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds. That is the kind of stuff that we are made of. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams. And that, for me, turning away from the fear and focusing on the pride and the knowledge that we've come from a place where we were stripped of our language, our heritage, our music, our prayer, our, you know, valuable traditions, stripped of all of that, brought to a new land, many new lands, where we were refused so many basic needs, and yet we still figured out a way to thrive in spite of it all. That to me it's the stuff that gods are made of. It's magic. And that's what always keeps me going. And I hope that that is the thing that we continue to remind each other of when it gets hard, because it's going to continue to get hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
anybody wants to jump in there? Yeah.
I'll jump in. I mean, the thing, wow. The thing I think about first is resilience, right? Like in every situation, you see us kind of trying to figure out how to work our way through this landmine. If it's like slicking your hair back for the corporate job, or taking on whatever accent, or trying to get rid of your accent, trying to learn whatever sport, whatever, you know, golf, classical music, doing whatever we need to do to ensure that we're progressing and that we're reaching our goals. And, you know, I think we all take it a little bit lightly, all the work that it takes to get any amount of success as a Black person in America, that you're constantly navigating a space that wasn't made for you consciously is so much more work than anybody else has to do, right? Like no one's thinking about their race, and we are. But I also think that, and you know, but I think how this applies to small businesses, like we do more with less. Like we make gold out of nothing. And it's amazing to see these entrepreneurs say, well, I can't get a business loan, but I'm going to figure this out, and not be deterred by anything. I think that, like, that's what I think about most when I think about, you know, Black people, our culture. I mean, even our food, our music, it's, you know, making steel pan out of oil drums. Like that's what our culture is, regardless of what part of the world you're in. And that's the thing that drives me, that I think about with Black consciousness, is having that awareness and walking in that truth of like, we're making gold wherever we are, and it's beautiful.
Yeah,
Okay, I love that.
definitely. Yeah, because Kelly, you kind of hit the nail on the head when you talked about, you know, we have to change things. For a very long time, I honestly thought the fact that I was Black and that I was female and I was from the Caribbean and I talk this way and I talk with an accent, and that people wouldn't understand me and that I wouldn't be taken seriously. And I actually had people tell me, you know, in order to build your business, you have to put someone who's white in the forefront, because no one is going to take you seriously if you don't do that. And there were people who were like in agreement with it. So it's like almost as if there's this unspoken rule that I'm not supposed to be where I am. I'm not supposed to do what I'm supposed to do. I'm not supposed to be out there, right? And that is the most nonsense I've ever heard. But it's in our minds, and it's in a lot of people's minds as well. Because I remember when I first started out, people were like, why you're bothering with that? You should go work for someone else. That's what you do. You go to school and then you work for someone else and then you die. Like that is what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to have your own business and carve out your own path. No, that's not for people like you, right? And there are a lot of people who still think that way. There are a lot of people who still treat their children and the younger generation that way. And I am ready to tell people that's not true. And these invisible borders that we put up, that we tell ourselves we are not supposed to do this and we can't achieve that, these things are not true. Because if I had listened to them, I would have never been on board. Never. I would have never been in Huffington Post. And I remember when I first came out in Huffington Post, nobody believed me. Nobody believed me. They had to get the link and scroll through to see that I was actually telling the truth. I mean, it was crazy, right? So when I think of Black consciousness, I mean, it's a little bit of what Shannon said and a little bit of what Kelly said, but for me, it's really about getting your mind right, getting your mental right, understanding, as Shannon said, you know, we are seeds to be planted, not to be buried and thrown away, but to be nurtured and planted and grow strong roots and really become what we need to be for our children and our children's children. Because somebody needs to take up the reins. Somebody needs to do the thing that people were telling them that they should not do or could not do, and show them that it is possible.
Okay, I love that. So I want to bring some of what we have here together. So on one hand, I love what Shannon was saying about they tried to bury us, but they didn't realize we were seeds. And then and Kelly said something along the lines of us having this indomitable spirit as Black people, which is really important. And then you said getting your mind right. So there's this sense of the power of the past being extended off into the future, and it's something that we have to carry on so that we can pass that on to those who are coming after us. That's powerful. I really, really, really love that. But someone else, I think what was there also, maybe it's in each of what you said, that there's this parochial problem that we need to get a lot of the not just expertise, but the will and the wherewithal from outside us, from outside our people, from outside, well, in some cases outside of our countries, right?
Yeah.
But here's now let me bring the crux of the question. It is clear that there are threats from without and within. Yeah. It is clear that there are threats from without and within. Yeah. How do you manage? Now you guys have made it to success. How did you escape the gravity of those challenges or of those stresses, doubts, etc.?
Well,
I hope you get the question. Should I say it differently or it's good?
No, I get it. I mean, for me, I had to speak the truth, and I had to speak it out loud. I have to say, I deserve to be here. I mean, what happened in my past or my ancestors' past or whatever they tried to shove down my throat is not the truth. The truth is that I am a Black woman, and I'm deserving of every wonderful, fabulous thing that happens in my life and in my business. And I should not feel ashamed for it. I should not keep quiet because of it. I should not be sitting at the side or in the corner. I need to be upfront and be seen. As my friend said, I bring the color, right? I bring the color, I bring the fast, I bring it, right? So for me, I had to understand that what I have been taught for a very long time was just not the truth. And I didn't need to believe it anymore because the world is changing and I am here. I am here when people told me that I should not have been, right? And I am the truth for my children. And I would hope the other people who are seeing me, because I'm sure there are people who are seeing me that I don't even know. I'm sure there are lives that I'm touching that I've never even met them, right? But the mere fact that I am here, and that alone keeps me going.
Okay, so Shannon, same thing for you, right? I see Kelly now starting to move there. Something's happening. I'm excited. Go ahead, Shannon.
For me, I think it's a struggle. It's kind of like the word balance. Like, how do you find balance in life? It's the same thing of like, well, how do you cut away the apron strings or generational trauma that we all suffer? It's very difficult. I read this quote today that there's this singer, Lorde, and she came out and said, and nothing against her, she's awesome, but she said, I got off social media for a while because I felt horrible about our planet and I didn't want to read anymore about police brutality and systemic racism. And I thought, well, how fucking convenient for you. Right? Because you can just get off social media and that's not a problem for you anymore. Meanwhile, I have 5 children and my boys are athletes and I don't allow them to play on our street because I'm afraid that some maniac in a truck is going to try to put them on a tree. We live in Florida where Trayvon Martin was murdered or Ahmaud Arbery was going for a job in his neighborhood. That is our everyday reality. That worry, that fear, that anguish, that panic that our loved ones will not be safe because of the color of their skin, right?
Yeah.
So it is a struggle and it is difficult, especially I think when you're a parent. But in business, I draw on the strength of my ancestors. My mom is a very strong Black woman, businesswoman. She's a badass, and they call her the Barracuda. And everything that she is, if I am 1/1000th of Jackie Williams, I will have done my job on this earth because she doesn't just live success. She knocks the door down and she drags everybody through that door that she possibly can.
I love that.
And when you have a mentor like that, grit and determination flows through your bloodstream. You have no choice but to ignore the word no and to discard the word impossible and instead get beyond the no and be very comfortable with being uncomfortable, because we're going to hear no a lot. Kelly pointed it out. Only 1% of Black-owned businesses are ever funded by VC. Oh, I'm sorry, female-owned businesses. And for Black female-owned businesses, it's less than a percentage point. Yeah. It just doesn't happen. So we have to get very comfortable hearing the word no, and then understanding, okay, but that tells me your limits. Now, how do I get to a yes?
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I think, well, is this?
Yeah. You're up.
When you asked the question, I was like, it's not past tense. Like it's something I'm doing every day. I'm constantly like having the self-talk of like, nope, you belong here. This is your seat. This is your space. Own it. Take up more space. Like even in meetings, I would pay attention to how much space these white guys took up, like how everybody became an epidemiologist in April, or like, you guys know about this? All of a sudden, I read the same New York Times article, but they felt really comfortable talking for 20 minutes about something that they had just read as if they were an expert. And there are moments when I feel like, I notice myself taking up less space or trying to use as few words as possible, and kind of reminding myself constantly that you have just as much airtime as, Tad and Brad and Chad, who read the New York Times article that you just read. And I think it's also just, that's the internal talk. And I think it's also making sure that you're coming into every room with that confidence, knowing that the worst thing somebody can say to you is no, and that it's not going to break you, and you can keep going. And sometimes that no has feedback that you can iterate and be better for the next pitch or the next conversation. Sometimes it's nonsense that you can just let roll off your back. And those are the two options, right? Like it's never going to be the end of your road. But it's always constant. Like it's never in the rear view, that conversation and that self-dialogue.
Yeah. So each of you has had challenges sort of entering this state of success that you've made it to. You're starting up your businesses. So I know when we were talking before, Shannon was talking about, when she's trying to seek funding. And I think also, Kelly, you were talking about the challenge that you see with some of the smaller businesses trying to get funding for their businesses. But this is more to you each personally, right? The question is, did those same things that we just discussed, those parochial problems within your community, and when I say within your community, I'm not just referring to Black people in the community, I mean like your family and networks, did those same things manifest in that process? And if it did, how did you get past it, right? Did the same things manifest, i.e. this doubt, resistance, your state and position can't make it that far? And if yes, how did you overcome that? Anybody?
I mean, I think I'll jump in there. I think that grit and determination is everything. I mean, we're gonna hear no. We have to get very comfortable hearing no. I was an actress and a singer before this, so I'm so used to and comfortable being on the opposite side of the table where someone is constantly judging me. And even in that world, I had to teach myself, if they don't say yes, if you don't get this part, if you don't get this role, if they don't choose you for this song, it's not because you're not great. It's because they weren't ready for you. And in business, it's a lot of the same energy. It's that same creation energy that I know exactly what this thing is. And I know that it can change people's lives for the better. But if these people don't see me and hear me and value me, and there's no discernment around what I'm creating that is valuable, it doesn't mean that it's not valuable, period. It just means that it's not valuable to this person right now. Because the truth is, the Brads, the Chads, the Johns, there's more white male CEOs named John than there are in all of the world. They have an idea already about you. They've already sized you up. I cannot tell you how many times I have been told by a John, a Brad, a Chad, or a David, listen, what you've managed to accomplish in just a few years is nothing short of awe-inspiring. $3 million in top line revenue out of 1,900 square feet. That's like Swarovski crystal numbers. The average small business in America, only 1% of them ever reach $1 million in top line revenue. You did $1 million in top line revenue in 3 months. It's amazing. Yeah. But I am never going to invest in a person like you. You, Black woman, no college degree, 5 children, little boy with a serious medical condition, married to an NBA player. You're just too risky.
Wow.
But if you have a nonprofit you'd like me to donate to, that is something I can get behind. See, that's what I hear constantly. So I've got very comfortable with that. And I say, thank you, but no, thank you. And I know I need to go in another direction, but it doesn't dissuade me from following my dream. I'm still going to be the organic version of McDonald's, with or without David and Chad and John.
Okay. Powerful.
Wow.
Real.
Carli, anybody? Yeah. That's right.
I mean, maybe I'm lucky, and maybe it's years of cultivating my, my network, that I haven't experienced a lot of negativity with my friends as I started my business or family. But I do notice, though, that my conversations with some people are different. And I think it's intuitive that I know who I can talk to and who I can just say, oh, I'm, working on a side project, and other people where I'm getting into the weeds. And I think it's, just experience of who are the folks that are going to be in your circle, who are the folks that are going to be your first customers, be your investors, be your advocates, be your, your evangelists. Those are the people that you want to talk to in the early days when you already have, imposter syndrome or imposter phenomenon. It's not a disease, right? And so I think being smart about who you talk to when you're in a vulnerable state, starting a business is a vulnerable state, is really important. And the people that are going to shoot your idea down and not give you, critical feedback is different, but shoot you down and say you can't or you shouldn't, are just like, not that those aren't your people, right? They might be like the people you get a drink with or go to the club with, but those aren't the people that you're talking about, your future or your passions with.
Yeah.
That's true, but I want to put forward, though, that those are the people that you tend to meet in the beginning, right? Because when everyone is on the same level, you have the same types of conversations. And then when you start to elevate, if they don't elevate with you, then obviously they're going to try to bring you down. Yeah, because you can do good. You just can't do better than me. That's sort of mentality. So unfortunately, when you do start, you will find the people who will tell you, no, you need to stop that. This is not for you. I've had people told me, you need to let go of that stupid idea. You're not going to go anywhere with that. Where do you think you're going? No one's going to take you seriously. I had people say that to me. People who I trusted, that I thought would have supported me, and they just, went the opposite direction. And those are the same people now calling to congratulate me and say, oh my God, I just saw you go, and I just heard you go, and you're doing so well. Yes, I'm doing well. No thanks to you, right? But I don't hold on to those things. And I'll let you guys know something about me. I suffer from really bad imposter syndrome, like really bad. And as much as I've been everywhere, I have really bad imposter syndrome. But I mean, and I think, Carli, you said it, it's a work in progress. Like every single day, you have to make up your mind. This is where I need to be, and this is what I need to do in order to be here. And it's the same thing that Shannon said, you're valuable. You're just not valuable to this person right now, and that's okay. Yeah. And sometimes saying it out loud is what you need to do, because sometimes it's not okay. Sometimes you feel hurt and you feel sad and you want to cry and you do want to give up, because hearing no all the time could never feel good. Even if you say you get accustomed to it, it will never feel good. Yeah. But you have to make up your mind and get back to your why and understand this is what you need to do regardless. And at some point, someone is going to say, good job. Even if you have to say it to yourself.
If I can just add one little thing.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to listen to us and say that, like, a no just rolls off our backs. Like, we cry, we get hurt, we get defeated, like all those negative things happen. But the sequence is like, you feel shitty, you like question yourself or what you're doing or your value. And then like, you kind of like have to like, whatever your mantra is, whatever your process is, but it's never that like, you don't feel it. Like you're still human and it's still like someone rejected you, but it's a matter of like not sitting in that for very long, but like feeling it and kind of moving on. At least for me, I won't speak for these ladies, but
And I feel like when you're going through that, then you know who's for you. Like that is the moment when the people who are supposed to be in your life will come into your life and say, don't worry, it'll be better. I've been through the same thing. Maybe you should try this. Maybe you should try that. Those are the moments when the real bonds are formed, whether it's relationships personally, relationships in business. Those are the, because there were times when I really felt like giving up, and there were people who like really came to my aid, and like we're collaborating now, we're best of friends, we're ready to vent with each other, we all talk in the afternoon and stuff like that. And I know now who I can trust, right? And who I can be like, let me don't tell them my business. You are just good for drinking and liming. You're just good for that. And I can tell my dreams and my plans to this other person.
Yeah, that's right. I think what I've gotten from what you've said is it's transient. It's transient. When you're rejected or there's failure or there is this thing, you know that it's not going to last forever. I think that's probably one of them powerful things that we have to remember. As a matter of fact, that's one of the reasons why we made it through slavery, because we kept going. We kept going and we sang our songs and we made our way through. I think that's powerful. I think it's still captured in exactly what each of you have said today. It doesn't roll off the back. The crap whip didn't roll off the back. It hurts, but we kept going forward. I love that. So I think there's some other things that I want to also, in summary, on what we've just spoken about. One of the things that I think Carla was talking about is success is a decision. You have to go and do it again. You make the decision to go again, and you go again, and you go again. And that's where you build resilience. And as Shannon was saying, grit. I think it was Shannon. Shannon mentioned grit.
Yeah.
Or was it Kelly? It's a blur now. I'm sorry. Okay. And then, and returning to your why also, like, why are you here? Why are you doing this thing? Because I like to say it's the writing on the wall. It doesn't matter whether I quit or not. The writing remains on the wall. We can't give up. Type 1 diabetes does not vanish. Black businesses don't disappear. People who need marketing and promotions and advice and support, they don't vanish just because we feel bad. And I think another important lesson that everyone's underscored is who you connect with.
Yeah.
Some of what you said was personal, like with people and your relationships, which I really want to come to later on in the chat. But also some of it was, hey, it's people who you have to do business with. And knowing that those people, their rejection does not change your value. I hope I've gotten a decent summary of what you said, but that was what I felt that in my soul. I felt that in my soul. So if you want any other comments, you can say, and I'll go on to the next bit that we have to talk about. Anything else?
I just want to add, failure is only failure if you give up, if you stop, if you decide that this is you're not going forward anymore. I feel like people use the word failure too loosely, right? You failed at this and you didn't, and you failed at that. You tried this, it didn't work out. You're gonna try something else. You didn't fail. Failure means that you gave up and you're done with it. And I feel like we kind of need to change the language of how we say things and how we communicate things as well. Because what we put out and what we say and how we speak is what comes back to us. So I feel like that is also something like a work in progress that we all have to do as Black women, as businesswomen. Let's change the way we speak about ourselves, our people, about our processes, how we do things. And let's, unite in that new language and only speak about growth and moving forward and really pushing ourselves.
Yeah. I think Shannon had kind of told her eyebrows.
No, I love what Carli said. And, a lot of times in business, I find myself saying no loss, only lessons. Because just doing it in and of itself is a triumph.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly said this before, we are starting in a completely other ballpark and everybody else in our industry is, sliding into home base. That's where they're starting. They're sliding into home base, and we're in a ballpark down the street somewhere. No one even called us to play the game. So the fact that we even had enough balls truly to get out there and go for it and execute on a dream, regardless of how you define success, that in and of itself, the trying is a success. I think one of the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make is that we make one big risk, like I'm going to do this dream, And then when we get in there, we're so attached to what we think this dream is. It's so finite that we forget to keep risking. But entrepreneurship in and of itself is about risk taking. So especially now, like during COVID, if this year has taught us anything, it's that the people that will survive in this are the ones that are nimble, that are resourceful, that are being willing to pivot, that are trying new things, that are throwing the book out the window and saying, well, let's go back to the drawing board.
That's right.
And, you know, it's just about lessons. It's just about lessons and not losses. And if not that it doesn't hurt when you fall down, like when you close a location or when you run out of money or when you piss off a customer or something didn't work that you tried, you know, all of these things are gut wrenching in the moment. But to Carli's point, you know, the true measure of success, the difference between champions and everybody else is that champions never gave up.
Yeah, that's right. So the other part I want to talk about, because I think as Black people, one of the things we have to preserve is community and collaboration. But that is, you know, it's a two-edged sword. You go far, but sometimes you go in pain, you know? And what I would like to ask about is, what are some of the triumphs and challenges? Let's go with triumphs, right? Out of making good partnerships. And what were the key things that made those partnerships and relationships work for you?
Go ahead, Shannon.
Kelly.
I'm ready.
Oh, Kelly, I have something.
I'm ready.
I saw it buzzing. I saw it tingle.
Go ahead.
We have some great partnerships, and we've been very fortunate to make some really good relationships because we've been in business now. I came up with the idea for Grown. I had my aha moment in 2008. Took me 8 years to get open, but we've been in business almost 5 years now. And that in and of itself is a miracle in the restaurant business. But beside the partnerships and the alliances and allegiances that we form, what I've really been so grateful for is the allyship of my team members. You know, because you don't have a business if you don't have a team. And so like my director of ops, Glenn, G. Wiz Parrish, he was in the music industry also. He actually was my boss. He signed me to Motown Records when I was 19 years old. So he was in Heavy D and the Boys. And Glenn wore every hat you could wear. And now he's reinventing fast food with me. We've been business partners for 25 years. I couldn't get from Monday to Tuesday without Glenn by my side. And that is like the ultimate gift, is to have people in your life that are willing to tell you you're crazy, but also to be your hype man. Because when it's low and there's a lot of ups and downs, and if you're really down, that's when you need the people in your life that have beyond succeeded the art of collaboration. They are your allies. They are your accomplices. And so, you know, between my husband and my family and my mom, who's my mentor, and other people in the business world that I respect, you know, you start to gather these incredible souls that your mission becomes their mission, and it's a shared passion. And it's like, again, another African proverb, you know, you want to go fast, you go alone. You want to go far, you go together. Right. And, you know, just like a tiny little anecdote, I have a friend that's a VC, Black woman. She's brilliant. She's the founder of Until Freedom and some other really, really amazing things that are happening right now, like with our modern day civil rights movement. But I'll call her and be like, hey, Monique, do you want to like have a quick coffee or maybe have like a fancy lunch once in a blue moon where we could still have lunch out? And she would be like, girl, what are you talking about? I prefer to spend my money at Grown. That's a small way, one way. You know, she is supporting my business. Second way, I'm getting ready to start taking franchise meetings. And she says to me one day, where do you do your franchise meetings? And I was like, oh, on our outdoor dining. You know, people fly in and we have these discovery days and I entertain them at the restaurant. She was like, why don't you have an office? And I'm like, what? I'm a startup. I don't have room on my P&L for an office space. Are you crazy? She was like, yeah, but I have an office. So if I have an office, you have an office. That's not just speaking. The next day, her assistant calls me and says, Mrs. Allen, your key to Rain Ventures is ready for you at 9 a.m. You have full access. That is collaboration. That is allyship. That is an accomplice. That is how we as Black people, even if we're not working on the same kind of projects, we can continue to support each other and lift each other up and make sure that we are propping that door open for our people to walk through. Awesome. So I've been the recipient of a lot of love like that.
I think similarly, starting Guava, I'm in the really early days. So I'm receiving a lot of those, moments of other founders going over my deck, introducing people to me, giving me feedback, finding advisors for me, all kinds of things that I've been able to, I don't want to just say reap, because it's, you know, I'm giving back to that community too, but it's been really, you know, amazing how folks have rallied for me, who I have, you know, they're not like close friends either. These are folks that are in industry that I know professionally, that when I told them about Guava, they were just ready to go. My old co-founder for that nonprofit was like, let me know when you're raising. I want to be your first investor. Like, there have been people in my network that have been amazing. And I think it really has been this community that I didn't realize I was building, because they were friends. And it's like, there's not a lot of Black people in tech. There's not a lot of Black people in VC. So I'm like, hey guys, come, we're friends now. Like, and that was before I was doing anything. I was just like, I wanted to build relationships with these folks. I wanted everybody to win. And that's kind of how I approach, you know, my professional life, my personal life. I want the people around me to be amazing. And often those people are Black, and, you know, in professional settings, when it's only 2 Black people in a room, we can be friends. So
yeah. Well, Carla, I know you have something you want to say on that too, and I really want to hear it. I want you to add on there to your response, and the others can add on after. How do you separate the chaff from the weeds? How do you, in making these partnerships, how do you find the ones that aren't the best for you to connect with? How do you figure them out? Because, you know, they always come in with, you know, a beautiful quote, but inside they're full of cankers and sores. How do you figure that out? How do you navigate that?
Well, I feel like Kelly and Shannon, they have like totally different experiences to what I guess what you and I, Kheston, would have in Trinidad and Tobago, even in the West Indies, in the Caribbean. Because, I mean, long time ago, I heard that collaboration is the currency of entrepreneurship. And I live and I breathe that. And I realize that a lot of business owners, when they come into things, they think they have to go it alone. And then I realized why. Because as you said, Kheston, you know, people come to them, but they come to them for self, right? They come to them to see what they can get out of it, not with, how can I help you? How can I serve you? How can I make this collaboration work so that we both can benefit, right? And for me, at least my personal experience, I didn't start with people jumping up, oh my God, I want to invest with you. Oh my God, you have a business, that's so fabulous. It didn't happen like that for me. I mean, I had my close friends who were like rallying for me, but a lot of people were for self. The only people that wanted to collaborate was just to see what they could have gotten out of me. And I had to grow and learn people, learn their mannerisms, see what they were really about, really deep dive into what they were really saying. You know, they come, what we say in Trinidad? Every skin teeth is not a grin. That's what we say.
Every skin teeth is not, all skin teeth is not laugh.
All skin, right?
Yes.
So that basically means, I mean, we have to figure things out. And I understand why now so many people decide they're going to go it alone, because that's difficult. That's hard. It's very hard to put yourself out for somebody and think that this person is rallying for you. And then you realize they're not. They're just not. And I think time will be your best teacher, because sometimes the people that hurt you the most are the people that you just didn't expect it from. Sometimes it could be a close friend, sometimes it could be a family member, right? And for us here in Trinidad and Tobago, sometimes, you know, you have to prove yourself first. A lot of people didn't believe in me. They didn't believe in me, and then boom, Forbes, right? They didn't believe in me, and then boom, oh, you were interviewed in India. Oh my God, you're being interviewed in China. Oh my God, that's so fabulous. Where were you when I was trying to start off? I was trying to figure things out, and I was asking for help. Where were you? You know, you were smiling to my face and saying all different things behind my back. So I'm very happy for both Kelly and Shannon that, you know, being Black, you know, you form this community right away. For me, it wasn't as instant. It really wasn't. I had to work. I felt like I had to prove myself. I felt like, you know, even other business people, I felt like we all had to fight for some reason. We had to fight to be seen, fight to be heard, fight to be taken seriously, fight for everything. And I don't know if it's because most of us are Black. We don't have the dynamics that you guys deal with. We're all Black, actually. We're all Black, right? So I don't know if that is the reason, but it's not what I never experienced what you guys experienced, where people were just like, oh, I want to invest with you. I had to prove myself before someone said, oh my God, here's my money, take it. Take it.
So I sincerely believe that there's always a period of proving, because they say the proof of the pudding is in the eating, right? I do believe that 100%. But I also want to honor the point that you made, that the context is definitely different. And it's clear based on what Shannon and Kelly are saying, is that the entrepreneurial ecosystem where they are, at least, because it's not necessarily developed in every single state in the US, but the entrepreneurial ecosystem where they are is a lot more mature, not just in terms of money and finance, but ideology.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that we can share and we can learn from, because we said it probably already. You want to go far, you go together. But what happens a lot where we are is we go fast.
Yeah.
We go fast,
We go
and
fast
we burn,
and we burn out.
and we burn out. So I love that it exists and it's there. I want to just say one key thing, and celebrate this. So most times you go and you watch a panel on business, it's usually a set of old men in big business, right? It's a set of men usually. But today we're fortunate, we have a full panel that are all women. And I think that is something very, very special. And I would like to give you guys a salute and a round of applause. And that's just from me to you. I can't see the other people on the other side, but it is an applause. And there's a lot of evidence in literature and online, and you can do the digging, that having women engage in business almost always yields positive results. I mean, if you look at something called the Grameen Bank, there's a lot of evidence that show women are more compliant and more diligent in a lot of ways. And I think that is something that there should be more of that representation in business. But while I've said that, here's my question, and we're coming over to the tail end of the discussion. Men in your life, I'm not saying that in a relationship sense, that's your business, right? But what happens sometimes, and maybe I'm wrong or right for saying this is the point where you teach me, I'm willing to take it. Sometimes, what was I saying? Yeah, men, some of us think that, one, we get intimidated by women in business and who are high rollers. And when I say high rollers, I mean, they know what they're about, they know what they're going to do. And I don't think that a lot of men are ready for that. And I think they make it pejorative when a woman is strong and powerful and decisive. But I know that there are some men who celebrate women with power and who celebrate women in their excellence. So I really want you guys to underscore that. Just because there aren't any men on the panel, I just want you to talk about just a little bit about having that collaborative relationship as men and women in business and in life. Yeah.
I mean, I can just say quickly. Sorry, go ahead, Shannon.
No, you go ahead.
Just really quickly, some of my mentors, my advocates and people who are talking about me in rooms that I'm not in are men, and white men too at that. And I'm thankful for that. I can't do anything about the insecure man that might be intimidated by me. Like, sorry, like I'm still here. So, like, that has nothing to do with me. He's never gonna be, he's never gonna be the person that's advocating for me. All I can do is ensure that I'm building and maintaining the relationships with folks that are on my side. And I'm really thankful for it, because there are, like you said, there are more men in C-suite roles than there are women. And so I need those folks to be talking for me, to be sponsors for me. And I'm thankful for, I'm thankful for those that are.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
I think for me, coming from the Caribbean, there are a lot of men out there that still think that women should be home, we should be with the kids, barefoot and pregnant, that whole antiquated way of thinking about things. And there are a lot of men who are like that. And, great for them and great for the woman in their life. That's fabulous. But, we women have made really great strides in business. And there are women out here who, we need to find our way, find our path. We're here, as Kelly said, and we can't do anything if you have a problem with it. The only thing you can do is get out of our way, right? That's the best thing that you can do for us, because you are making an entire judgment about us based strictly on our gender. What does that say about you as a man? What does that say about you? That
As a
I
person,
can't,
yeah.
as an entire human being based strictly on my gender. So I mean, we encounter that every day. I don't know how it is for Kelly and Shannon, but for me in business, I encounter that regularly, right? Because they have this way sometimes. Maybe they don't think that I should not be in business, but they do sometimes have a very condescending way that they speak with you. I mean, I was in a meeting very recently, and the guy was like, "Any other beautiful woman out there?" And like, this is a business meeting. We don't need to be speaking about those things, but it happens, right? It happens, and there's nothing we can do about it except make our presence felt. Make a space for ourselves and ask them kindly to just move out the way. There's nothing else we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I mean, I think Kelly and Carly, they said it so perfectly. There's, at this point in our lives, right, it's 2020. There's just no room for misogyny. I mean, there's just no room anymore for people to be judging us solely on gender. It just doesn't make sense. And, you want to find people in your lives that are feminists. I'm sorry. I mean, I just, I think about my mom and the kind of woman that she is, and my grandmother, the kind of woman she is, and hopefully the kind of woman that I am for my sons. I think about my boys. They're so proud of me, right? And we were in the car one day, and there was this song on the radio, this hip hop song on the radio about, that's the CEO in my family. And my husband was like jamming to it, and they were like, "Dad, Mom is the CEO in our family." Like, what? And, they're so proud of that. In the same way that my sisters and I were so proud of my mom, that she was the breadwinner. My dad was a school teacher. My mom had this massively successful business. She was a pillar in our community. And that was a really big deal for us. She was a Black woman that probably sat on 15 boards in the late 70s. I mean, she's just a killer. And, I think it's really important for people to understand that there's absolutely nothing that separates us from being able to be successful or to be building an empire, as you said, Carly. It's time for us now. My husband and I were talking about, our new vice president that we will shortly have here, Kamala Harris. Yeah. And we were just so excited as a family. And he was saying, how amazing is it that the first female vice president of the United States is a Black woman? And I said, that is not an accident, because Black women don't ask for permission. We are knocking down doors, and we are dragging everybody else in with us. That's what we're doing. We are not asking for permission. And it's evident by how we vote. 96% of Black women came out and voted for Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton. I can't say that for anybody else. So, we have to continue to be the people that we are, the indomitable forces that we are, and to be proud of that.
I love that. I love that. And as we now on the tail end of the discussion, and we're going to open up for questions in a little bit. So if there are questions that have been coming in online, if the organizers can put it in for us so we can start answering them. Let's see if they were anyway. Okay, they'll send them in a little bit. So this question is about reflection. It's about what's happened, what you've learned now, and what you think is really important. Here's the question. If you could send a message back in time to your younger self, one, when would you send the message to?
Oh my goodness.
Okay, one, when would you send the message to? And two, what would you say? If you had to send a message back in time to your younger self, one, when would you send the message to? And two, what would you say? If you could say why too, that'd be nice. But yeah, go ahead. All right, so I'll give some context to that. So while you think, but it's not an easy question. Here's the reason why, because there are people who are younger than you or in an earlier stage than you in their business and their lives, and they are going to be going through things that you've gone through already. But there are things that you wish you knew when you were at their point that you now know. So the when is important, because maybe it's not just in terms of your age, maybe it's in terms of your stage. And that part I'd like to speak to. But also, just as important is, what would you say? What would be that key thing that if you changed, you think you would have had a lot different journey, a better one, however you want to put it. So I had a little waffle to give you some time to think. Let's hear the responses. I'm not going to tell who to talk first, but I'm excited about this myself.
I can jump in. I was actually talking about this with a friend like 2 days ago, so I feel a little prepared.
Good.
That like, and my when is my, like, when I was in business school. So I was a career changer. I started my career in education. I went to business school to go into venture capital, which is a huge shift. And I felt really insecure. There was all kinds of imposter syndromes. And I remember sitting in some meetings or interviews for internships for jobs with investors and feeling almost like gratitude to them for taking a meeting with me. Like I was like just thankful, like happy to be here kind of vibe. And I would say to myself that, they were lucky to sit across the table from you, that you had something to say. And so like be more confident in that moment, because my experience was unlike any other. Most business school students. I started schools in Brooklyn and led schools around the world, and was planning to use that experience to be an investor in education. And any investor who couldn't see that those skills were transferable, that those skills would make me a good investor, was not the right partner for me, would not be a good mentor, a good boss for me. And that I shouldn't not to go into those meetings feeling thankful to be here, but to show them why they should hire me, why I would be a great asset. And if they couldn't see that, then they weren't a good investor. So that's what I was saying to myself.
Okay.
For me, to be very honest, I'm a person, if I had to go back in time, I really wouldn't change anything. I firmly believe that everything that we've gone through, every lesson that we've learned along the way was necessary to bring us to this point. So there's really a specific time that I can pinpoint, but I can tell you one of the things that I've always, and I'm going to use this word loosely, hated about myself is that I take too long to make decisions. So sometimes I would be in a bad situation and I would stay because, oh, that person is my friend and how will they feel? And I will feel bad if they feel bad, but I know it was a toxic relationship, or I know it was a toxic situation, or I know that I should not have been in it as long as I should have. Even when I first got into business, there were certain clients that, oh my God, the red flags were everywhere. And I knew this wasn't going to be a good thing, but I went in anyway because I wanted to prove myself. And I didn't want to come across as, I don't know, snobbish and angry Black woman, whatever is this negative thing that I told myself. So in as much as every experience has prepared me and brought me to this particular point that I'm in, I would definitely say, if I could go back in time and just tell myself, follow your guts and your intuition every single time. Don't take too long, to make decisions. If your mind is telling you and your gut is telling you, don't do this or end this or walk away from this, do it. Because the moment you don't do that is when you will start to feel stressed out. Things are not going to go the way you want. You will actually lose more, right? So that would be what I would tell myself. Always trust your gut. From the time you feel that little twinge, just walk away.
Yeah. So I like that. That's be you, do you, trust you. I think that's what has come so far. Shannon, I do want to hear what you have to say about that also. But I'm going to add a little piece on because someone asked a question, and it's possible for you to answer it in your answer. It says, what advice would you give to a young Black woman who would like to start a business in 2020? So this is a stage question as well.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, so I can answer that question within my question. I would say to those young Black women that want to start a business in 2020, is this the first thing you think about when you wake up in the morning and the last thing you think about before you go to sleep at night? You know, do you suffer anxiety that someone is going to do this idea before you do? If those answers are yes, you should absolutely do it, but figure out how you're going to make a profit. And that is the thing that I would tell my younger self, that money is not the root of all evil, and to have an abundance mindset. Because for the large majority of my life, I have worked for free. You know, I was in a singing group on Motown Records. I never made a dime, even though we had hit singles and toured the world. I was an actor on, you know, Sex and the City and Blue's Clues and Century City with Viola Davis. I barely made any money. I had a TV show in Boston called The Pregame Meal that I created and executive produced, made no money. And even in my business now, I take no money out of the business. I'm constantly putting money back in. And over time, what that can do is chip away at your worthiness. So now people pay me for speaking engagements and someone cuts me a check. And I am just now at 46 years old, getting to a place where I am expressing this abundance mindset and realizing that, like Kelly said, I'm not just happy to be there. You got to pay me for me to be here, because money is an exchange of energy. That's what it really is. So when I am showing up and I'm giving you my best, which I don't do anything half-assed, I only give my best. Needs to be an exchange, because the time that I'm spending with you is time that I'm taking away from my husband and children. And they're the most important things in my life. So I had to learn that lesson. It took me a long time because my mom worked 90 hours a week growing up, and her entire focus was business so that she could provide for our family. So in my mind, I had created this notion that money is the root of evil. That's true, because money is the thing that's keeping my mom out of the house. You know, we've never gone shopping on a Saturday. I'm 46 years old. My mother and I have never had lunch together. That's because of money. No, that's because of ambition. Money is a tool. It's an energy exchange, and it helps you make your life and the people's lives around you and your community better. And without it, you can't do it. So that's what I would say. Figure out how you're going to get to your profit.
I love that. So is there anything else that anyone wants to add? Because we're going to start wrapping up. I know my camera is doing this weird thing.
It's cool.
Okay.
It's like a cool filter.
Well, I'm afraid I'll get a seizure.
It's like we're going into like a dance hall mode.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to check to see if there are any more questions. I didn't see any more questions get sent in just yet. Hopefully I didn't miss that. But anyways, so as we come down to the last moments on the panel, first of all, I want to say that it's been an incredible time with you. And I mean that. I mean every single word of that in your stories, the different contexts, and even Carla saying stuff that, you know, I feel in because I know and I see here. And to see the way that you guys have triumphed and overcome is something that's really encouraging. Now, the panel is not about me, so I'm not going to go through my business and all that kind of drama. But I do want to say I'm very encouraged by this time that I've spent with you. Right, I'm the moderator in this case, but I just want to say that. And I know that there are others, even though you can't see them or hear them online, that are going to feel this. And the sweet thing about the internet is that this gets to live a new life after we sleep. You know, even when we're dead, this is going to exist in the world. And that is something that I'm really excited about, laying something down for posterity, some kind of legacy, even if it's just as small as a webinar online. So that's been really, really awesome. So thank you very much for that. What I do want to have is a last round of comments between everyone that you have. And for those who just coming online and who just visiting, I realized I should have said this earlier on, but the conversation has been about business and the Black community, the difficulties, the triumphs, the challenges, the power, the gains, the pains, all those things, and it's deeper than just what this story that we've heard. It's something that's has its line down hundreds of years in history through slavery. Through slavery, a lot of times we look back and we stop there, but there's such a long legacy that has gone well before that. And it shows our power, our resilience. It shows our clarity of focus, even though there is sweltering heat, there's a whip at our backs, and there's constant misjudgment of our ability and our fortitude. We have survived and we've maintained. That has been the core premise of this festival, and that is something that I feel very moved by. So, final moments, any closing comments that you want to make or give the audience moving forward? Kelly, I feeling like we should go with you, Kelly. I feeling that.
Okay. I don't know. A closing comment. This is like a big deal, right? You told me it's gonna live on past my like posthumously. Okay. You know, something when we talk about like Black business, it kind of goes back for me when we talk about slavery, that we were business. Like our economic system, our capitalist model was built on our free labor, and anything that we do is almost like gravy. I think, you know, like we were the thing that all of these countries use to build their economies, and us building our own is only the thing that, you know, is right. Like it's I don't know, I'm not articulating it well, but that's kind of where my mind goes, that we were the exchange, we were the money that was used to build economies, and I'm just excited to like be able to talk about us creating our own wealth and our own capitalist systems.
Amen.
But we're not just the wealth now, we're making the wealth. That's powerful.
We have it.
Yeah, we have it. Yeah.
I think what I would like to say is, for everyone that is watching, listening, whether now, replay, a million years from now, whenever, you know, really embrace the things that make you different. It's the things that make you different. You know, that's your strength. That's what people want to know about. That's what people want to see. That's the thing that's going to push you and propel you forward. For a very long time, I mean, I don't mean to make this about me, but for a very long time, I really did think that there was a lot of things wrong with me. I thought that people would not take me serious. I thought my, you know, coming from a country that I thought few people knew about, Trinidad and Tobago, I allowed those things to hold me back, and really convinced myself that, you know, no one would care about what I had to say. And I mean, look where I am now. Look, I'm in the presence of all these fabulous people. I've been all over the world. People are, you know, paying me to hear what I have to say. People are paying me to help them succeed. And I would have never guessed that, you know, my accent was the very thing that people would like. My skin color would be the thing that people would love. I never thought so. And I think that people just need to embrace these things that make them different, or that they think make them different, and just market the hell out of it. You know, really push it. I mean, I'm a marketer, so forgive me, right? But really push yourself forward and really use that as a tool to propel your brand, your business, yourself to greatness.
I love that. I'm going to piggyback a little bit off of what Kelly and Carli said. So this may sound like a non sequitur, but today in 1982, Michael Jackson released Thriller. He sold 100 million copies. He had 7 out of 10 of his singles reach the top 10 for Billboard, and he won 8 Grammys. Michael Jackson was a force in the world, not just in music, in dance, in art, in theater, in fashion, in selling out arenas, and shows, and TV, and in film. He influenced everything, even government. And that is our power as Black and brown people. You know, we are culture. We are culture shifters. And unfortunately, for too long, to tap into what Kelly said, and now to tap into what Carli said about that is our power, for too long, we have been undercapitalized, underutilized, underappreciated, and devalued. And it is our time now to demand ownership and equity. You know, we're always creating the things that we wished existed, but now people have to actually pay us for it. If we noticed and we recognize anything that happened with George Floyd this summer, may he rest in peace, the power the power that that man possessed, even in his death. You want to talk about posthumously, something that was so tragic, what we witnessed as a people that was so heartbreaking and gut-wrenching. People all over the world marched in the streets, and what else happened? Billion-dollar businesses, trillion-dollar businesses had to come forward and say, we're not doing enough. We are not embracing Black and brown people. We are not celebrating Black culture. We don't have enough Black and brown people on our board seats. We don't have enough Black women in business. We are not funding enough opportunities for small business owners. We have that power, and this is our moment to harness it. And I'm hoping that we can channel that in a collaborative effort to continue to spur on more, for the first time ever, truly generational wealth and then intergenerational wealth, because we're the first generation earners, savers, homeowners, college graduates, small business owners. For 400 years, we've been funding everybody else's business. These businesses and these societies were built on our backs. Now it's our turn. So what are we gonna do with it?
That's right.
Yes.
So I'm gonna close off now. Sorry, I think someone, no, not seeing this. I'm gonna close off now with some of the words from, okay, I'm gonna read this. I'm sure that I'm older than all of you, but you're amazing young people. Put me to shame, so inspirational. Keep up the good work and keep sharing and helping. That's a beautiful comment that came from our audience. I wanna close with the words from the song Far From Finished, but I'm gonna change out all of the I's to we's. All right, and I'm gonna avoid all the ad-libbing things like "woy" and that, because you know.
Do you need
Okay.
us to help you with that, the boy and stuff?
I'm singing nothing. So let's leave it for philosophical moments. So here we go. And we're far from finished. We are so far, and we can't believe it. Man, we can't believe it. You see, we are far from finished. Say, we are so far, so far. We love loving the life that we live in. We love this life. We love this life. I think those are such beautiful words that we can close. We look at adversity and we look at stress and strife, but we have a life that was built on pain. That is true. But we have a life that can be grown on happiness. So it's been a great time with you guys, and it's a great celebration we had during this festival. I'm gonna hand over to the organizers. It was a pleasure spending this time with you. God bless you and your business, and we'll see you guys in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you all. Thanks, Kelly, Shannon, Carla, and Kheston for bringing this fantastic conversation to the end of the festival. So I want to thank you guys again for taking the time out, for saying yes to our invitation, and for really contributing to the reach of the festival and the impact of the festival, as it's our first festival for 2020. So once again, thank you. And to all who tuned in, either here on Zoom or on Facebook Live, wishing you the best of tonight. And this brings the festival to a close, unfortunately. It's a bittersweet moment, but we're gonna have a short closing ceremony. So for all those who'd like to stay on, feel free to do so. We're just gonna take a short break for our closing video, and then we'll continue.
Hi everyone, we're so happy to be here and to be part of the Black Consciousness Festival. I'm Ruth Osman, this is Mr. Theron Shaw and Baba Onilu. We're going to be doing a piece that was composed specifically for this festival by myself, arranged by Terry. It's called See Them Come.
I'm going to try.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Thank you for those of you who have joined us during this last month as we celebrated Black consciousness, an entire month dedicated to raising the awareness of who we are as Black people across the diaspora, in various languages, in various cultures, in various forms. Today ends the festival, today the 30th of November, and we wanted to end the festival by continuing to incorporate various aspects of who we are as Black people. During the festival, we had music, we had food, we had conversation, we had prayers, we had rituals, we had spirituality, we had some of it all. But one element that was missing during the festival is the element of poetry. Poetry gives us pleasure first, then truth, hidden in a complex imagery of philosophy. Tonight we start with a Brazilian poet. And why do we start with Brazil? Because the festival started because of Brazil. We began this festival by celebrating Black Consciousness Day in Brazil, which is celebrated on the 20th of November. And we expanded beyond the 20th of November to the entire month of November. So tonight, we start poetry from Brazil with Osana Almeida. Osana Almeida is a singer who participates in a project called Music of the World. She integrated the festival Arte como Respiro of Itaú Cultural with a poem called Depois de Tudo, After All. A Anatomia dos Parênteses, her first anthology, which was published by the editora Urutuaú. Almeida é cantora e participa do projeto intitulado Música do Mundo. Integrou o festival como Respiro, do Itaú Cultural, com a poesia Depois de Tudo. Anatomia dos Parênteses é seu primeiro livro de poesias pela editora Urutuaú. We present to you Dona Osana Almeida.
Hello? Hello?
Boa noite.
Boa noite.
Osana, boa noite, tudo bem?
Tudo bem?
Prazer em tê-la, seja bem-vinda à nossa plataforma.
Obrigada. Muito obrigada. Estou muito feliz de estar aqui, é uma honra imensa. E estar representando o Brasil aqui é muito importante para mim. Brasil, Salvador, Bahia, de onde eu venho.
Terra boa. Como eu estava dizendo na apresentação que eu dei para você, é que esse festival iniciou-se justamente por causa do Dia da Consciência Negra, que foi celebrado no Brasil, né? Então, para a gente, era necessário começar esse aspecto de poesia justamente com poeta brasileira. Então, apresentamos você para o mundo inteiro, com os bichos bilhões. Seja bem-vinda.
Muito obrigada. Bichos bilhões. Todo o dinheiro do mundo não passa dos 200 mil. Pense um pouco, bilhões é um par de milhões. E milhões já são grandes demais para caberem em carteiras eletrônicas. Não dispomos dessa tecnologia, por isso, precisamos da ajuda dos suíços. Eles inventaram os bons queijos, os bons chocolates e as grandes carteiras de bilhões, mas desses, só os bilhões não são verdade. Quem precisa de bilhões? Dá medo. Bom, eu poderia brincar de bicho-papão com a minha filha Catarina, e ela apelidaria o monstro de bilhões. Nós correríamos pela casa, que não é de bilhões, fugindo dele. E como ele é? Bom, o grande bilhões tem muitos olhos, como bolas grandes de bilhar escorrem gosmas viscosas de sua boca. Ele nem grita, só resmunga. Ininteligível. Assim como bilionários. Bom, bilionários são amigos dos monstros de olhos de bola de bilhar. Eu disse a Catarina, fique longe deles. Melhor, não se torne um deles. Ela não vai. Até parece que seria cabível. Catarina me deu sua palavra. Bilionários são, em geral, grandes, brancos e homens. Eu deveria avisar a Catarina. Ela é mais uma criança pretinha. E crianças pretinhas não pegam amizade com bichos papões.
Muito obrigada, Rosana. Muito obrigada mesmo pela presença e pela poesia. Muito profunda. As we close off tonight, the festival, the Black Consciousness Festival, the inaugural edition, Joy Bell tells us that ends are not bad things. They just mean that something else is about to begin. And there are many things that do not really end anyway. They just begin again in a new way. Ends are not bad, and many ends aren't really ending. Some things are never ending. Today, we face the bittersweet end of the inaugural Black Consciousness Festival. 2 months ago, when the steering committee first contemplated hosting the festival, we would not have imagined anything of the magnitude which we were able to deliver to the world. What started off as an extension of an immersion exercise for students of the Brazilian Studies section of the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine campus, swiftly evolved into a forum which would see a myriad of interactions across the globe in multiple languages. For an entire month, we prayed, we sang, we laughed, we danced, we created music, and most importantly, we spoke about us, about who we are, about where we are, about what we had become since having been taken from the continent. Like a mountain range, the festival has no singular high point, but there are several. We saw the generosity of spirit as elders and icons gave of themselves, their mastery, their experience, and their wisdom in candid, tangible, and authentic ways. We were able to connect with our kin across the waters and feel the energy and spirit of the African diaspora, the heartbeat of Africa weaving the thread and the magic that connects us. Youth and experience shared perspectives and found common ground at the meeting of the minds. Faith in the capabilities and the achievements of people of African descent was restored as we engaged daily in activities which showed our pride, power, and practice. And most importantly, we all walk away 4 weeks later, wiser than we'd ever dreamed of being due to the wealth of information exchanged in a myriad of ways. Rooted in the commemoration of Black Consciousness Day in Brazil, celebrated on November 20th, the festival had as its primary objective the sharing of vital histories and stories that boost the awareness and impact of the pride, power, and practice of people of African descent. We sought to build awareness around how each of us can take the necessary steps for restitution and reparation. The greatest paradox of the past month is the recognition that although we have accomplished our task, we have not achieved the goal. What we have been able to do, as awesome and as awe-inspiring as it has been, is a fraction of what is needed for us as a people to move beyond all that we have endured. On November 19th, the eve of Black Consciousness Day in Brazil, as we here celebrated the greatness of all the diaspora has to offer, João Alberto Silveira Freitas was beaten to death in front of a Carrefour supermarket in Porto Alegre in the state of Rio Grande do Sul in Brazil. A mere 2 days later, French music producer Michel Zecler was beaten and verbally abused by 4 French police officers as he tried to enter his own studio. As we speak, Paris is in turmoil as tens of thousands of protesters decry a new bill which seeks to restrict the filming of police officers. The festival has done extremely amazing things, but there's still much work to be done. The linkages we have made, the conversations we've begun, the common ground we have found, the experiences we have shared, combined, is a mere part of the assignment. We stand on the shoulders of those who have gone before, and we pass the baton on to those who would come after us. In the words of Murphy, when you run a part of the relay and pass the baton on, there is no sense of unfinished business in your mind. There's just the sense of having done your part to the best of your ability. That is it. The hope is to pass the baton on to somebody who will run faster and will run a better marathon. As we bring the curtain down on this edition of the festival, we urge you, our viewers, well-wishers, and supporters, to play your role. During the past month, we have had 20 cultural activities and 20 conversations. All of the videos are available for posterity on our YouTube and Facebook platforms. Our humble request is that you do not let our efforts go to waste. Look or relook at the content. Share it with someone. Talk about it. Take action in your circle of influence. We are not all called to host festivals. We are, however, called to move humanity forward. The only thing needed for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. The atrocity of the transatlantic slave trade was nothing short of evil. We are duty-bound, therefore, to do something to rectify the legacy of slavery, which still haunts us all, even today. As we continue with our odes and our poetry and our words as we close this festival, I would like to call on Jassy Roberts to do another poetic piece for us. Jassy has been a spoken word poet for the past 6 years. He made the Bocas Lit Fest Secondary School Poetry Intercom Finals, both in 2014 and 2015. He is no stranger to the fitness realm and currently studies sports kinetics at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine campus. He's a funny guy and loves to laugh. But tonight he brings us a poem entitled, I Can't Breathe. We welcome Jassy.
Hi, good night, everybody. The name of this piece is I Can't Breathe. Rest the souls of the black men who were no friend to justice, betrayed by the lies of freedom, lies spewed on black men as they laid with those who cried liberty in vain. Black man, never lie about your pain. You'll only feel it longer as I wipe tears off your coffin. The incense lit to clear the cloud around your eyes, have your mind rise, but right now lie still. As the spirit in your eyes went cold on cruel earth, the worth of your life diminished to a curse. Worse, wondering if it was a blessing to die. What if I could live to see love in the streets? If I could see less life bless bodies, to see less life as we know, but lo and behold, you try to stifle the voice of my color. My brother's death was my own. Mothers carry the burden of loss like pallbearers, black suits and bowed heads, listening to a memorized eulogy, a tragedy written with the same lead that impaled my innocence, now lost are the memories of growing up where I never saw color. Remember my mom giving me the talk. The talk. You know, the generic talk that every black mother gives her son. Don't talk to strangers. Pay attention in school. Keep your pants on your waist. Tuck in your shirt. Keep your hair neat. Smile. Don't answer back to authority. Treat everyone with respect and stay away from suspicious activities. And please, just make it back home safe. But you know, remember when Black Attack was our nickname? That people call someone who seemed too dark? Funny how now that name has changed. It became more literal and its effect more critical. Now we have a bullseye on our heads. Funny how shrouds have engulfed our image. How they've plowed a place where we can't fit in. No more do they shout Black Attack, but more like Attack Blacks, as if COVID-19 wasn't enough of a slaughter. As if the whips which stripped our flesh of its smooth finish wasn't enough. Our kingly stature slowly being diminished. We fight for our place in society like it's some sort of scrimmage. Sometimes I wish this contract would be demolished. It's hard fighting to be somewhere you're not welcome to, where attackers never act silently. Racism dwelling on every street, a disease without a cure, not even scientists behind it. So its malignant nature grows rampant. I can't breathe. It's like we wear face masks made of suits and ties that are tied too tightly. I can't breathe. I'm pleading with you to see my humanity. Man, why can't you see my humanity? Ask the black man his story, and each bullet hole was a chapter of malice. Ask the black man his story, and he will tell you the cost to breathe, but he pleads no more, for on the journey to heaven, his hands were no longer tied. You fly to the safety above the clouds, the eternal life yours up above. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jassy.
You're welcome.
It was beautiful if it wasn't sad, but we appreciate the words. We appreciate the depth of thought. Thank you so much for having contributed to our closing.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
We are certain that there's no way that this festival could have occurred without the involvement of the many persons who aided the cause in a varied number of ways. None is more impoverished than the one who has no gratitude, for gratitude is a currency that we can mint for ourselves and spend without fear of bankruptcy. At this time, we would like to take the opportunity to extend our most heartfelt thanks to those who have contributed to making the last month of conversations and culture activities an enormous success. We give thanks to the Creator who has guided our paths even before our existence in this realm. The intersection of the paths of all who have come together for this common purpose is not by chance. Our trajectories were designed and guided so that they would all converge at this time. And we give thanks for the greatness which was created. Today, as we stand tall and contemplate the beauty we were able to achieve over the past month, we remember and honor our ancestors. As members of the diaspora, we know that if we stand tall, it is because we stand on the shoulders of many ancestors. We pay homage today to those who have walked before us. We give thanks for their essence and their memory. We give thanks for their lives and for their legacies and for the many ways they have contributed to our successes today. May they continue to walk in power. For the birth of the idea of the festival and the overall guidance of its outcome, we would like to acknowledge and appreciate the members of the steering committee. We give thanks for Erica Ashton, the festival director, Nadella Oya, the creative and strategy director, and Sean Samad, the content and communications director, without whom there would be nothing to celebrate today. We give thanks to our team of festival coordination volunteers, for Nicholas Ward and Talia Vidal, who assisted with the coordination of our culture activities, for Joa Marie Poon Angeron and her communication skills, for Lee Lutchman and Christian Duff for their tremendous graphic design expertise. We acknowledge and appreciate the efforts of our Culturativities youth hosts, Bernice, Dara, Ebony, Elliot, Jenya, Journey, Kai, Listia, Meredith, and Samuel, who liaised with our cultural leads from around the globe and made them feel at home in this, our online environment. We thank all our conversation leads and panelists who shared of their tremendous knowledge and expertise and experience over the course of the last month. By their mere presence, they were able to uplift the awareness of people of African descent across the globe. We appreciate all that you've shared with us, and we shall continue to refer to the gems of information you have shared over the rest of our lives. To our social media team and volunteers, we thank you for having taken the time from your personal and professional lives to act as advertising agencies during the course of the month. The profile of the festival was raised in no small measure due to your efforts. To Adeola for spiritual upliftment, both at the opening and the closing. To Ruth, Theron, Baba, and Marka for the festival theme song. To our sponsors and collaborators, the Braspo Society, Creative Joint, UE Cultural Studies Society, Lilliput Children's Theatre, Maestro Ricky, Ola Tunde, Civnic Associates, Ocha Records, Create Future Goods, Cadine's Soup Pot, HAD Agency, DJ Richie, Marlon Music, African Film Trinidad and Tobago, and to the Samads for their office space. To you, our viewers, listeners from around the globe, we are grateful for your presence today and over the past month. We thank you for opening your homes and allowing us to share our histories and stories of our kin across the waters. Today, as we officially close the doors of this edition of the Black Consciousness Festival, we give thanks to all who have contributed in large or in small manner. Nothing that was achieved during the month of November could have been done without your involvement. We look forward to continuing to collaborate with you in future and pray that your paths will always be guided by the God of your understanding. We move now to yet one other poet from the diaspora, Miss Leslie-Ann Wanless. Miss Wanless is a writer of poetry in Chapbook Imajo and is CEO of LA Wanless Editing and Consultancy. She is completing her MFA in Creative Writing program at the UE St. Augustine. She was the recipient of the CARICOM Canada Emerging Leaders Scholarship and was the first visiting researcher in the MFA program at the University of Gulf. She is published in Jamaica Eats, Cordite Poetry Review, Susamba Bag, The Caribbean Writer, the Jamaica Journal, Small Acts Literary Journal. She is also the recipient of the second place prize in the UE Short Story Competition and in the short fiction component of the Small Acts Literary Competition. We present to you Miss Leslie-Ann Wanless.
Hello all. Hello, hello.
Hi, good night. How are you?
I've come with two gifts. The first gift being from Kamal Brathwaite. I thought this was the most perfect way to begin than to end, as in to begin my piece and to end the festival. Sonidos. It is not enough. It is not enough to be free of the red, white, and blue of the dragon. It is not enough. It is not enough to be free of the whips, principalities, and powers. Where is your kingdom of the world? It is not enough. It is not enough to be free of malaria or fevers, fear of hurricane, fear of invasion, crops, drought, fires, blisters upon the cane. It is not enough to tinkle, to work on a bicycle bell when hell crackles and burns in the 14-inch screen of the Japanese constructed United Fruit Company imported. Hard to sell, tell to tale, television set, rhinocerously knobbed, cancerously tubed. It is not enough to be able to fly to Miami, structure skyscrapers, excavate the moonscape, seashore, sands to build hotels, casinos, sepulchres. It is not enough to be free to bulldoze God's squatters from their tunes, from their relics, from their tombs of drums. It is not enough to pray to Barclays bankers on the telephone, to Jesus Christ by shortwave radio, to the United States Marines by rattling your weak bones. I must be given words to shape my name. To the syllables of trees, I must be given words to refashion futures like a healer's hand. I must be given words so that the bees in my blood's buzzing brain of memory will make flowers, will make flocks of birds, will make sky, will make heaven, the heaven open to the thunderstone and the volcano and the unfolding land. It is not enough to be paused, to be whole, to be void, to be silent, to be semicolon, to be semicolony. Fling me the stone that will confound the void. Find me the rage, and I will raise the colony. Fill me with words, and I will blind your God at Atibon Legba. My second gift is my own poem, and it came from this rainy season and watching houses being washed away, and thinking about what it means to be Caribbean, what it means to be in a space of less. And I guess in this way, my own understanding of Black consciousness in the Caribbean and by extension, the world. And I bend here. My skin like brick formed from packing, made to stack into rows, forgetting the sand, the grains that began the force. This metal wrapped around me, giving me shape to purpose, making me forget mounds and air, forgetting fingers tracing circles, water cooling. I bend here. When vibration rises and water passes through, I return like rivers to its watercourse. I bend here, contrast and release the force of iron's arm. I release here. I can no longer hold. I am center. I shift now from shape to lumps, never to return to sand. This is the brick of my skin, the mayhem of my purpose, the who I am. This center cannot hold. Its eyes, a vague recall of time's trap to seduce me into form. I bend against blue lights, meant to cool, to de-stress, but now only a marker of force. I bend against this empty soul, the inability to hold, to own, squatting on hollowed ground. I break here with arms wrapped around me. I need to return to river. For she soothed me against the heat. I break, my skin the brick, cracks this tale is never chosen. My skin, my brick, blackened, stacked to do its role, breaks here. I can do nothing more than crumble and hope.
Thank you very much for your contribution to this, the closing of our festival. We continue to wish you well in all your endeavors.
Yes, thanks. Yes, thanks.
Circles. Circles assign value to every member in the community They include every voice. They share perspectives that aren't always heard of or are not always apparent. They allow us to learn from each other. Tonight we close the circle. And as we began this festival, we shall end. And we call on our friend Adeola to give to us the libation to close off the month of festivities.
Yemanja baniti monda ile Yemanja 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 baniti monda ile Yemanja 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 baniti monda ile Yemanja Yemanja The Black Consciousness Festival 2020. 20 conversations of blackness. Conversations of history, music, song, dance, and drama. Conversations of our past, present, and future. Conversations of life, death, transition, and continuity. Stories and expressions of our ancestors through the voices of their present generation, their bloodline, inheritance, and descendants. From Barbados to Guyana, Brazil to Haiti, Belize to Jamaica, Cuba to Kenya, Martinique to Panama, Nigeria to Trinidad and Tobago, United Kingdom to Guinea-Bissau, to the United States of America. With the spirit of awakening, resistance and rebellion, voices of freedom, love and consciousness. May the ancestors bless all of us as a people together, far and wide, across lands and seas. And may the power of our ancestors bind us together by virtue of the sacrifices they made for us all and for humanity. The Black Consciousness Festival. May the universe now grant a special blessing to the members of the steering committee of the festival. Heather McIntosh Simon, Sean Samad, Nadella Oya, Erica Ashton, and all volunteers, and each spirit, energy, and person of the 20 conversations. May we forever stand on the shoulders of our ancestors. It is done. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. And we give thanks to the Creator, the Master of the universe. We say thank you to all our positive ancestors. We say thanks.
Ashe, and thank you to all who have joined us here, not only this evening, but throughout the month. The Black Consciousness Festival closes for 2020. See you next time.
Hi everyone, we're so happy to be here and to be part of the Black Consciousness Festival. I'm Ruth Osman, this is Mr. Theron Shaw and Baba Onilu. We're going to be doing a piece that was composed specifically for this festival by myself, arranged by Terry. It's called See Them Come.
See them come, I'm going to join them.